Hi friends. Today again I came up with an interesting topic that is India's nuclear journey. Where were you when we started our nuclear journey, and then where are we right now in the nuclear energy production? So a significant shift we have seen in 2025-26 union budget. Government increased the allocation in order to reach the target of 100 gigawatts of power generating capacity by 2047. And we are now at the position to produce 8.18 gigawatts of nuclear energy, and that positions the nuclear power production as a important pillar in our renewable energy production, which make us developed country by 2047, and we can achieve our net zero emissions by 2070. And also under nuclear energy mission, the allocation of 20,000 crore in order to uh, design indigenous design of five small uh, modular reactors by 2033. So if we want to achieve these things, we have to uh, the suggestions from the uh, from scientists and all, what they are telling, uh, government is the only player in nuclear energy production. In order to achieve these things, we have to allow the private players and both foreign and domestic players also. So again, in order to allow those people into the nuclear energy production race, we have to make amendments for Atomic Energy Act 1962, and also the Civil Liabilities for Nuclear Damage Act 2010. For that change, the change in mindsets is also matters more. So, if we see our India's nuclear journey, in 1956, we established Apsara, that is India's first nuclear research reactor, and then in 1963, we began working on first Asia's first nuclear power reactor at Tarapur. And in 1954, our renowned uh, Dr. Homi Jahangir Baba, the architect of India's nuclear program, he set up a target of 8 gigawatts of nuclear power production by 1980. By 1980, he set the target in 1954. But uh, like other countries, for India also, it was not that easy to achieve that target. We have faced so many difficulties to reach that target. In 1962 we had war with China, and then in 1964 India became a part of nuclear club, and in 1968 India decided to stay out of non-proliferation treaty. And finally in 1974 India went with peaceful nuclear explosion test, that is what we call as Operation Smiling Buddha. Without knowing to world, we have done the nuclear test, and finally we succeeded in that. So because of that, we have faced so many problems. It led to what we call India's exclusion from emerging nuclear order. It led to international cooperation got ceased, and then export controls. All these things slowed down our nuclear program. So the target to achieve 10 gigawatts of nuclear energy production extended to 2000, and we took time to to successfully indigenize the design of 220 megawatts of pressurized heavy water reactor employed in Rajasthan by using natural uranium as a fuel, which is different from Tarapur light water reactor, in which we used the what we call the low enriched uranium, which we imported from USA and then later from France. So we have established 220 megawatts capacity reactor, that pressurized heavy water reactor units at Kaiga, Narora and Kakrapara, and then we increased our uh, capacity from 220 megawatts to 540 megawatts, and then finally to 700 megawatts, and which we had established the two units of 700 megawatts capacity reactors in Rajasthan in 2024. So finally, after nuclear test uh, in 1998, uh, after so many negotiations with the USA, countries accepted India as responsible nuclear power, and we got a special waiver from nuclear supplier group also, and we started importing the uh, raw materials and inputs which we need for the production of nuclear energy. But again, it was not that easy to move forward and go ahead. We confronted with new difficulties with civil liabilities for Nuclear Damage Act 2010. So we had negotiations with so many countries in order to allow them to set up nuclear power plants in India, but only country established uh, and partnered with India, that is Russia, for the establishment of Kudankulam project, we know, in Tamil Nadu. Uh, this is because the government to government relations only. So, how India is moving towards its green development? In order to become a developed country by 2047, we have to increase our per capita income by $2,800 to $22,000, and we have to increase our GDP from $4 trillion to $35 trillion. There is a well established correlation between the energy consumption and economic growth. In 2022, if we see the per capita electricity consumption, India stood at around 1200 gigawatts. Sorry, 102 1200 kilowatt hours, and China was at 4600 kilowatt hour, and finally USA 12500 kilowatt hours. So uh, these are the positions of various countries in 2022. Presently, India's capacity of electricity generation is 480 gigawatts, and we have to increase it by 5 times in order to strengthen our economy with the increased population and urbanization. And in that, this solar energy, wind and small hydro projects provide only intermittent uh, part. So for that again, that means only 75% of our energy production is again depending on the thermal power plants. So the only solution for India in order to achieve our goals is nuclear energy. And in COP 26 2021, which was held at Glasgow, our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji announced India's targets, which are net zero emissions by 2070, and also increase the energy production capacity to 500 gigawatts by 2030. In that, 50% of energy production is only from renewable sources. And one more thing is to reduce carbon emissions to the to 45% over 2005 levels by 2030. These we call as Panchamrit goals. So, for that, nuclear energy is the only solution for that, and we can achieve the demand of 25% only by investing in battery and pumped storage capacity. So, and again, globally there is an interest in nuclear energy production. All the countries are trying to increase their nuclear energy production in one or the other ways. We can see that in COP28, which was held in Dubai in 2023, there was a declaration of triple the nuclear energy production. So, International Atomic Energy Agency and World Bank came together and they had a agreement that they will come together and help in developing countries for the nuclear energy production. So, what are the government visions in order to achieve this? What are the solutions government have? Government uh, plan to go in three routes. One is to standardize that Bharat small modular reactors with 220 megawatts that pressurized heavy water reactor designs will be want to establish uh, more because it's reduced costs and commissioning time, because those are small reactors. No, we will take less time to establish and also uh, it will be costed less. So if we establish those, they could uh, replace actual captive thermal power plants that today account for over 100 gigawatts production. And second one is to help National Power Corporation Limited for the 700 megawatts pressurized heavy water reactor for its establishment by facilitating land acquisition and streamlining licenses and strengthening indigenous supply chain. And finally, the third one is negotiation with the partners and like other countries with France, USA, etc. So, under New Atomic Energy Act, government is the only player in nuclear energy production till now. But people are suggesting to allow others also for the production. Like, uh, for example, we have NPCIL, National Power Corporation of India Limited. It only, this is government entity. It only builds, owns and operates the pressurized heavy water reactors. So the capital is more and lower operating cost and the life cycle of 50 to 60 years we have to maintain it, and especially costs associated with its decommissioning and then waste management, like radioactive waste management. These are the reasons why government is not allowing and it is only taking care of the things. And finally, government released the budget of allocated the budget of $1.2 billion in order to achieve the production of 100 gigawatts of nuclear energy. For that, private sector entry is needed, and again the amendments are needed for that. If we see the NPCIL, it is the operator. If we see, then who will take the responsibility of controlling the taking operator will be NPCIL. So who will be the responsible for the decommissioning and uh, disposition of this radioactive waste and all? For that, government has to negotiate with the important stakeholders like Ambani, Adani, Vedantu, etc. So these are the potential stakeholders with uh, with whom government has to sit and talk. So for this, we needs amendments for civil liabilities and nuclear damage. Um, Civil Liabilities and Nuclear Damage Act 2010 also with regards to its liability clause, which affects not just the operator but also the supplier of nuclear power. So, and also again when it comes to commercial disputes relating to tariffs, like actually generally under Electricity Act, the tariffs the Electricity Act, Central Electricity Regulator Commission will take care of these commercial things. But the recent case which was there between NPCL and Gujarat Urja Vikas Nigam Limited, uh, there was a conflicting views between the appellate tribunals and the Central Electricity Regulatory Commission, and the now case is in front of Supreme Court. And also, India has a best nuclear safety records. It never went wrong. It was always India is always so conscious about it, and the credit goes to Atomic Energy Regulatory Board again. That is a autonomous body but not a legal entity and subordinate to Department of Atomic Energy again. So we have to make it autonomous, and we have to convert it into a legal entity in order to take care of the regulation of nuclear energy production. So, and if we see, nuclear energy is not a renewable energy. It is a less carbon emitted energy but not a renewable energy like solar, wind, etc. So if we categorize it as a renewable energy, then the all the subsidies what government will provide to renewable energy production like solar and wind, those will apply to nuclear energy production also, like tax incentives and incentives and subsidies given under green financing instruments, etc. And also long term purchase agreements and provisions for viability gap funding and venture capital. We can create a venture capital also. So, in order to do all these things, government need to make amendments in Atomic Energy Act and that Civil Liabilities and Nuclear Damage Act 2010. With these reforms, comprehensive reforms and comprehensive steps only, we can achieve our goal of 1000 gigawatts. So India is planning to establish its 4 units of 700 megawatts capacity of nuclear energy production in Rajasthan. India is planning for that, and for remaining all the things, it has to take care of the things and it has to do amendments for these acts in order to allow the private players, foreign players and domestic players also, because achieving 1000 megawatts gigawatts is not at all a easy task. So government alone cannot take that entire headache and burden. So it's better to allow those people with control, with so many measures, so many restrictions and controls. So this is what I want to tell you about the India's nuclear journey from when it started in 1954. Now we are in 2025 and we want to achieve net zero emissions by 2070. So where we were and where are we right now in nuclear energy? There is a huge success in our nuclear journey, and we will see that success if government takes a proper measures in order to achieve our goal. So this is what I want to tell you about nuclear energy journey and nuclear energy production. If I missed something and if I went wrong, if you want to give any suggestions, please comment it in comment box. Thank you.